Okay, good evening, everyone. How are you this evening? I hope everyone is fine and you are always in good condition. So tonight we are going to learn and continue our lesson. Yeah, this is our sixth meeting, and you know that one more meeting is our seventh meeting. It means we are in the middle of the semester. Yeah, so tomorrow or next meeting will be the last meeting, yeah, and then this one is our sixth meeting about CLL, yeah. Okay, maybe anyone knows about CLL, yeah? What is CLL? And it stands for Community Language Learning. Have you ever heard about that? Maybe if you have never got this material, yeah, maybe or you have never read about this. I want to give you the description about this. Yeah, let's say community. Yeah, this is community. So where people go together. Yeah. So the underlying word is community. And I ask you first about the style of your learning. Have you ever recorded your lesson or your learning activities when you study English? Yeah. Why did I ask you like that? Yeah. It is related to this material. Yeah. Because this is our community language learning is based on recording or because based on the recorded activity. But before we go to that, let's say the history first about this community language learning. Yeah, this method was developed by Charles Churan and his associate. Yeah, Churan was a specialized in counseling and professor of psychology at Loyola University. Yeah, his application of psychological counseling technique to learning is known as counseling learning. Yeah, and was largely inspired by Carl Roger. Yeah, humanistic psychology. So, this method was developed by Charles Duran. Yeah, cognitive language learning represent the use of counseling learning theory to teach language. Yeah, so finally it becomes the method of teaching language. Yeah. Okay. So as we know, Charles Duran was a consultant. Yeah, so he was a professor too, and he make counseling to his or their student, yeah, to study about the language. Yeah, so according to Churan, learning is an a unified personal and social experience, and the learner is not someone learning in isolation and competition with other. It means a student cannot study by themselves. Yeah, they must have a friend and they must have partner. They must be in a community or social activities. And also Lafort, he emphasized the importance of interaction. As a language is people, language is a people, language is a person, language is person in response. So it means based on Lafort's, yeah, he means that language is person. So if you don't have any person, you don't have any language. If you don't meet any people, you don't meet any friend, you don't meet anybody in this world, so you don't have any language. That is from him, yeah. So what the fact? Yeah, the fact in CLL, yeah, successful learning occurs when mutual understanding between the learner and the teacher is established. The faster non-defensive learning. Yeah, it means that how to make it successfully. Yeah, this method should have a mutual understanding. Yeah, it means that between the learner and the teacher. So not only the learner but the teacher is the most important too. Yeah, why it is important for the teacher? Because he will be as the counselor, as the facilitator, and many others. Yeah. It can be explained by six elements of SAAR RD, yeah, concerning the psychological requirement. They are security, aggression, attention, reflection, retention, and discrimination. Yeah. And after that, in 2002, Richard and Rogers, that is check Richard, yeah, the expert first, yeah, and note that this aspect of children's learning philosophy addressed not the psycholinguistic and cognitive process involved in the second language acquisition, but rather the personal commitment that learner need to make before language acquisition process can operate. So, according to Richard, yeah, someone that want to learn language needs a process of acquisition. What is acquisition? It's like something you get when you study English, yeah. When you study a language, the natural system about getting word by word. So what is actually the definition of CLL? Yeah, CLL is primarily designed for monolingual conversation classes where the teacher counselor would be able to speak the learner's L1. L1 means like the mother language, yeah. So in this method, the teacher must have more than one skill beside they study English. Remember, this is community. So if you teach the student from any other classes, any other cities, any other countries, so you must know about their mother tongue. Or at least you know about the English one better than others. So what are the key characteristics of CLL? Yeah, based on Brown and Lee, student and teachers work together in a team effort creating a supportive classroom community which lowers anxiety for learners. Maybe for some learners, for the first time, they will be afraid to speak up. They will not be confident. They are not eager to speak up. So, this method encourages them to speak up more and to talk more in English. Teachers support students in a treating manner and must understand and be sensitive to student fears. It means that the teacher also need to know about student. When some student or the student is afraid to speak up, don't force him and don't force them. So they encourage, so they must stimulate, they must help, yeah. By this method in communicative language learning, so the student who is afraid to study, they will never afraid anymore, so they will feel that they don't study alone. There are many friends that can learn together with them and they are not afraid again. Language is communication, so having conversation is a must. Yeah, teacher must support student in whatever way is needed for them to feel confident and successful. Because this is communication, so in CLL communication is a must, yeah, like this case, yeah, we said teacher must support the student, yeah. So teacher don't be just a silent person, and you must help your students. So what are the typical features of a CLL lesson? Okay, there are some typical. The first, target language or mother language, yeah. It means that target language and mother tongue, they must have equal position, because some will have the mother tongue as their first language and then they learn to study in target language, yeah. Teacher learner center, together, they are also together, yeah. Counseling role teacher, client role for learners, yeah. Teacher as counselor and learners for client. In a circle sitting for learners, yeah, usually the shape is making a circle. Recorder inside circle and teacher outside. So teacher can be outside the circle to observe and to notify the activity. Target language dialogue generated learner by learner, yeah, help as necessary by teacher. Recorded dialogue transcribed by a teacher on board, so the teacher can write the word or the conversation on board, yeah. Analyze of dialogue by learners, so the learners study and analyze the dialogue, and dialogue used in follow-up session for either activities movement for learners from total dependence to growing autonomy, yeah. So there are some typical that we can know in the CLL lesson. One of the most common typical is circle sitting for learners, yeah. Actually not always circle, you can make a square, yeah. But since circle like making a grouping and community, that is commonly famous, yeah, with the circle. And also the second is recording, okay. And okay, let's go for the next, yeah. uh we are going to continue for the next is about CLL principle. So what are the principle that we must apply in this CLL lesson or CLL method? It is important to establish a mutual relationship between the learner and the teacher. Yeah, so it means that it is important to establish. Without teacher, learner cannot study, but without learner, the teacher also cannot teach. It means they must have mutual relationship. That they work together, so like the second one, the teacher and learner has the same role, so teacher centered and can be said like the student centered. Number one, language is for communication. Remember, every time I teach you, I always say that language is for communication. It means in this method CLL, why they must speak, why they must practice, because again language is for communication. If you find your student cannot speak up when you teach English, it means that your teaching is not for communication, but you teach for some others aspect, yeah, maybe for grammar, for exercise, and many more. And the teacher stand behind the student. Why stand behind? This is the way teacher give facilitator, give the communication, give the feedback, and also as the observer, yeah, because the teacher as a counselor. Learners need to know the limits of teaching activity. It means when the material is too difficult, so the learners can give complaint or can say to the teacher that I don't understand, I don't know about this. This is too difficult for me. This is too hard for me, for example, like that. So that's fine. And the teacher the learners are whole person, they can share learning experience. Like I said, yeah, they are mutual, they can share. Even the teacher, they can share their experience. So in this case, in this community language learning, all working together, even the teacher, even the learners. But mostly when we make the percentage, yeah, of course, student must have more activity than the teacher, because the teacher as the counselor and the student as the learners. Learners have no choice in what they want to practice, yeah, so they can choose what topic, maybe what activity, what kind of the evaluation, like that, yeah. But actually this is also not a good way to let the student choose something from our class. So maybe better you don't give any choices, yeah. So better you just give one instruction, maybe like this, like this, like this. Now this is the best one, yeah. Because when you give like that, yeah, it will never finish, yeah. And then the learning goal of this activity, the main goal of learning is to be able to use the target language communicatively in an environment where students are provided with stress-free, non-dependent, value-respecting, and teaching circumstances. It means that the student didn't have any burden, didn't have any stress. They are still relaxed. Yeah, they enjoy the learning process and many more about speaking English and learning English communicatively. And also, what are the role of the teacher? Yeah, as we know, I just said just now, teacher as a counselor or knower. So it means that the teacher know everything, yeah, or maybe we say maha tahu like that in this method. So if the teacher cannot know all, so it means the teacher less knowledge, yeah. This method will not running well, yeah, will not run very well, yeah, because the teacher less of knowledge. Yeah, and then what are the target language? Yeah, in this sense, the target language is used. Yeah, the target language is used as the main, yeah, the main activity for the learners to study. Yeah, because the target language is used after they use their mother language. Yeah, like the means of overcoming psychologist barriers, yeah, which is okay. This one is the role of the target language, yeah. The use of native language has almost an equal importance with that of the target language in CLL. Yeah, it means that mother tongue and the target language has a 50-50, because in this case maybe some students do not know about English, so they may use their mother tongue first to share experience with others. Yeah. Okay, and then the role of teachers, yeah, of course you must facilitate or you must observe, you must pay attention, give feedback for the student when they are speaking, and also you must record them. Okay, what are the situation of the classroom using CLL? Students starting in a circle, yeah, and with the teacher, an outside student choose topic for conversation and says something in the first language which teacher translate into the target language. Yeah, if they cannot speak the target language, they can use their own language first, yeah. And then which student from repeat, yeah, and then student continue dialogue or conversation with the teacher continue to translate, yeah. Is it possible to translate? Yes, because again this is community language learning, so we do not know how many person in our class has many language. Maybe this one is from somebody like the founder, yeah, the current. He found that many of his students, yeah, speak in many language, so he was become a counselor to facilitate the language learning. And after that, teacher must choose to record conversation in the target language, yeah, so student can listen to themselves later and practice. So again, the teacher record, yeah, and then the student can listen and then practice. After the speaking activity, the teacher may join circle and debrief. Yeah, debrief like giving more, yeah, and asking student how they feel about the experience. Yeah, you can imagine the situation, yeah. So the student in a circle, you are outside, and you ask them to make a conversation. You give one topic, and then after that you record them, and after that you give the evaluation. Okay, what are the evaluation and feedback? Yeah, you can also, the teacher doesn't directly correct learner's error. Yeah, in this case you doesn't correct because we learn from the recording. When students work on the correct pronunciation of the different, yeah, utterance they wish to learn, yeah, the teacher become a human computer recasting error and in a non-threatening way. Yeah, it means that the teacher must record and remember all the mistake. Yeah, so when the recording is played, so the teacher give comment step by step. Okay, this one is sounds of for example opposite, and the student say opposite. Now this is also wrong like that, yeah. So give the feedback. And it can be said, yeah, in CLL, there is no places for formal evaluation, yeah, of written or oral exam. It means you don't need to make any formal like written or verbal, yeah. But the school requires formative evaluation at the end of the course. However, learners are encouraged to evaluate themselves through alternative assessment, yeah, technique such as writing a paragraph, oral interview, presentation, or many others. Okay, so let's come for the conclusion. Yeah, so our conclusion for this CLL, yeah, the first you must remember that CLL always stand for community. So it means that not only one but should be more than 5 or 10. It is better maybe with the even number, yeah. And after that, because they will have a partner, yeah. And then after that, the teacher stand outside and give them a topic to study. For example, okay, everybody, you can talk about your favorite movie. And then students talk each other. They can talk in their own language. Also, they can talk in English. Depend on the skill of their student. And after they talk each other, the teacher must record their conversation. Why the teacher must record? This recording will be used as the analysis, yeah, to teach the student. For example, just now somebody said, for example, saya tidak suka, and then you say I like, and then I don't like, and then somebody say, kenapa kamu tidak suka? Then the teacher should translate at the time after you show atau you play the how about this, kalau kamu tidak, and then you say why don't you. So for example, yeah, so it means you play the recording and then you check the learners. At the time, learners get the point, so they are studying. Yeah, so whatever the method, yeah, actually there is weakness and strong, of course, yeah. So in conclusion, every approach has its own strength and weakness. Yeah, it depends on how teachers apply it in the learning and teaching process. In order to motivate students to improve their English, teacher need to understand how they actually learn and adopt, yeah, more suitable approach. Yeah, it means you must know the situation, the condition, the student's background when you want to teach English language. Yeah, so this is about our material for community language learning. If you still have any question, let's discuss in Google Classroom. Yeah, so I will give time for you to ask me below this video. Yeah, and I also will share to the Google Classroom about the PowerPoint, so everyone can be an active student. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so after this, I would like to give you maybe an activity, yeah, maybe just like an exercise, yeah. If you haven't finished, you can continue, yeah. And maybe from the experience, sometimes the teacher can also put this CLL as the good method, yeah. But in other way, for example, like in our country in Indonesia, yeah, it maybe not too suitable, yeah, for our student, because mostly our students are the same mother tongue, yeah, in Indonesia. But it doesn't mean it cannot be applied. It still can be applied, yeah, but with different way. Okay? Yeah, that's all, and see you for the next. Yeah.